your snacking routine can get a little dull. Time for a light and fit remix. Like a crunchy storm of graham cookies, caramel pearls, and dark chocolate, showering down into a smooth, creamy yogurt. Enjoy 3 light and fit remix varieties with craveable flavors and up to 120 calories and 10 grams of protein per 4.5-ounce serving. See remixyogurt.com.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight, WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I hope you had a good weekend. I certainly did. This past Sunday, the New York Daily News editorial page, which has frankly hammered me more times than I can count over the years, got it exactly right. They tackled an issue I've been raising for years on the radio and years before I was even on the radio. New York's ridiculous ban on cameras in the courtroom. I couldn't agree with them more, and if anything, I think they didn't go far enough. Let me start with what happened on Friday. Donald Trump, a former president and now a convicted felon, was sentenced in a Manhattan courtroom. The punishment? Nothing. But while that grabbed headlines, the bigger story is that we didn't see it. Yes, the court released audio of the sentencing and public transcripts during the trial, and I give acting Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchan at least a little bit of credit for allowing that. But this was a mere sliver of transparency, a glimpse through a keyhole when we deserve to have the door wide open. New York is one of only a handful of states that bans cameras in courtrooms outright. Judges have the discretion to allow certain proceedings to be broadcast, but they almost never do. That's a problem. This was a historic moment for America and for the presidency and for the criminal justice system, and we don't get to see it? Future generations should be able to watch it and analyze it and debate it and discuss it. Courtrooms are supposed to be public, but unless you can physically travel to the courthouse, fight for one of the limited seats, and spend hours there, you're out of luck. This isn't just about high-profile cases like Trump's. It's about every case where the public has a right to see how justice is carried out. The Sixth Amendment guarantees us a public trial, not a trial open to only the lucky few who can show up in person. 49 other states allow cameras in the courtroom. 49. Only New York still clings to the absurd notion that letting people see the judicial process would somehow damage its integrity. Give me a break. Cameras demystify the courts. They show us how prosecutors and defense attorneys present their cases, how judges weigh evidence, and how juries reach their verdict. They're not about spectacle. They're about education and transparency. Imagine if we'd been able to watch every moment of the Daniel Penny trial or the Trump Organization trial. Instead, we relied on secondhand reports and courtroom sketches. We deserve better. New York's court system is a labyrinth of complexity and inaccessibility. The transcripts are expensive, the procedures are arcane, even the names of the courts are confusing. Why is the lowest trial court called the Supreme Court? Let's start by opening up the process and allowing cameras in the courtroom. This has to change. The state legislature should rewrite the law banning cameras in the courtrooms immediately.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Ladies, you'll end up shopping for your guy's deodorant, right? So try Degree's Original Cool Rush. You see, last year, Degree changed the formula, and men were mad. One guy even started a petition. So Degree admitted they messed up and brought the Original Cool Rush scent back. It's clean, crisp, and actually smells like someone you want to cuddle. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So toss one in your cart and find out why it's the best-selling men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Well, here's a head-scratcher for you. My colleague at 77 WABC, the Reverend A.R. Bernard, has stepped down from Mayor Eric Adams' Charter Revision Commission. Why? Because it turns out he doesn't meet the one basic requirement to serve, living in New York City. Now, let me say this up. Bernard is a great guy. I enjoy listening to his program. He's also a leader of the largest evangelical church in the city, the Christian Cultural Center. His track record on affordable housing and community development is nothing short of extraordinary. This is someone who would have brought wisdom, experience, and integrity to a commission that desperately needs all three. But here's the kicker. The Adams administration didn't bother to check whether he actually lives in one of the 5 boroughs. Instead, he resides in Suffolk County, Long Island. And as much as we all love Long Island, it's not New York City. And this is the one rule for serving on the Charter Revision Commission. You have to live in New York City. How could this happen? How could they make such a sloppy, unforced error? It's not like this residency requirement is buried in fine print or tucked away in some obscure rule book. It's literally the only qualification on serving on the Charter Revision Commission. You don't need a PhD, you don't need years of government experience, and you don't need to know Robert's Rules of Order backward and forward. You just need to live here. What makes this mistake even more baffling is that this isn't the first time it's happened. At the last Charter Revision Commission, there was also a residency issue with one of the appointees. You'd think someone in the administration would have learned from that point on and just double-check the addresses of their appointees this time around. But apparently not. This is more than just an embarrassing oversight. The Charter Revision Commission is tasked with shaping how the city's governed. It reviews the New York City Charter, which essentially functions as the city's constitution. These are high-stakes decisions that affect millions of New Yorkers. Reverend Bernard has said his resignation is due to the time commitment, but let's not kid ourselves. This is about the residency issue, and it's a real loss. He would have been a terrific asset to the commission. This entire debacle is a reminder of the need for competence and attention to detail in government. We need leaders who don't just talk about accountability, but practice it, even in the seemingly small stuff. Because if you can't get something as basic as a residency requirement right, how can we trust you to get the big things right? And this is a commission that is going to be dealing with a whole bunch of big things, not the least of which is all the housing issues and zoning issues that have been created by City of Yes. Come on, Mayor. Do better.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV Insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, it's not every day you hear about a public servant being forced to step down in disgrace, but that's exactly what happened in Clark, New Jersey. Sal Bonacorso, the town's mayor for over 20 years, pleaded guilty to some serious charges. Turns out he was using township workers on the taxpayer's dime to benefit his private landscaping and underground oil tank removal business. Let's break this down. According to the state attorney general's office, Bonacorso conspired to commit official misconduct and forgery. He had township employees performing work for his private company while they were on the city payroll. And that forgery charge? That's tied to false and fraudulent permit applications his company submitted to municipalities, allowing them to improperly remove underground tanks. As part of his plea deal, Bonacorso has agreed to forfeit his office immediately and will never hold public office again. He's also been sentenced to 3 years of probation and slapped with a $15,000 fine, the maximum allowed for a third-degree offense. Let me just say, this kind of corruption is a real slap in the face to the people of Clark. For over 2 decades, they trusted Bonacorso, who has a long history of saying racially incendiary things, but they trusted him to lead their town, and he betrayed that trust for personal gain. It's disappointing, it's infuriating, and it's a reminder of why integrity in public office matters so much. But let's talk about Clark, New Jersey is now in need of a new leader. Someone who's not just competent and ethical, but who really understands the community and has a genuine passion for it. And I've got the perfect candidate in mind, Al Gattullo. If you're a listener of the Joe Piscopo show in the morning, which I was the producer of for 6 years, you know Al. He's a sharp, straight-talking guy with a real love for Clark, New Jersey. He also hosts a craft beer show, which speaks to his ability to connect with everyday people and celebrate the things that bring communities together. Al is the kind of outsider who could bring a much-needed, fresh perspective to Clark. He knows the town inside and out and would likely approach this role with the kind of transparency and dedication that's been sorely missing. Now, I don't know if Al Gattullo has any interest in throwing his hat into the ring. He probably doesn't. But I think the people of Clark should recruit him. Public office isn't just for career politicians. It's for anyone who's willing to serve their community with honesty and heart. And Al checks those boxes. So, Clark residents, the ball's in your court. If you want real change and a leader who loves your town as much as you do, maybe it's time to look to Al Gattullo.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, you've got to give it to Mayor Adams. He sure knows how to grab headlines. During a recent visit to Roosevelt Avenue in Jackson Heights, Queens, a stretch previously infamous for rampant crime and prostitution, the mayor decided to stop into a beauty salon and get his eyebrows threaded. Yes, you heard that right. Eyebrow threading, all while giving an interview to reporters. Now, let me say this. I applaud Mayor Adams for showcasing a small business and bringing attention to the cleanup of the so-called Market of Sweethearts. That's important work. The area has seen significant police activity with nearly 900 arrests in 2 months, and locals are saying they feel safer. Credit where credit is due. But an eyebrow threading interview? That's a first for me. I don't know about you, but I've never heard of a guy, much less of a politician, getting his eyebrows threaded, let alone using it as a backdrop for discussing crime prevention. Is this what leadership looks like in 2025? Imagine if I tried that, hosting an interview while getting a hot shave. Sure, it might be entertaining, but it's not exactly the image of professionalism. To me, it feels a bit bizarre. There's a time and place for personal grooming, and I argue this just wasn't it. Now, others may disagree. Maybe this is the era that we're living in now. It's just a little bizarre. I'm sure Mayor Adams thought he was showing his relatable, down-to-earth side by supporting a local business, and maybe in some circles this is considered trendy. But it strikes me as yet another example of his flair for theatrics, which, look, I'm not against theatrics. This is a mayor who's been criticized before for prioritizing style over substance. And this eyebrow threading spectacle, it doesn't exactly counter that narrative. Look, I get that politics today often involves a bit of showmanship, and I'm fine with that. I'm a Trump supporter. I get it. But there's a fine line between relatable and ridiculous. And in my book, this one falls squarely into the latter category. At the end of the day, the focus should remain on the real issue, ensuring the safety and well-being of the residents in Jackson Heights. The area's transformation is worth celebrating. But maybe next time, let's skip the beauty treatments during the press tour. I mean, what's next? Is the mayor going to be giving an interview while getting a manicure or a pedicure? It just strikes me as silly. I also just don't know what kind of guy gets their eyebrows threaded. Does any guy care about their eyebrows? I didn't even know that was an option. if you're a guy, to get your eyebrows threaded. But you learn something new every day.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Today's episode is sponsored by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Life comes with big money questions. Is it better to max out your 401k or put more in a brokerage account? Does buying a home make financial sense in today's market? Should you use extra cash to pay off debt or invest? NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast has the answers. Their finance journalists break down investing and budgeting strategies to help you build wealth and navigate major financial decisions. Make smarter money moves. Follow NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast wherever you listen.